So apparently the SEC watched the Georgia-Tennessee game and somehow came to the conclusion that, you know what, maybe these teams don't have to play every year. If you didn't already know, the SEC is moving to a 9-game conference schedule with 3 permanent opponents and then 6 opponents that rotate on a yearly basis. The SEC is set to announce these 3 permanent opponents for each team tomorrow night, Tuesday night. However, we have some early intel per Chris Lowe of On3 about what these matchups are going to look like. You can pause now to see each team's permanent opponents and take a look at each of them. I'm going to give my quick thoughts on the highlights of these matchups. For Alabama, obviously Auburn and Tennessee make complete sense, the Iron Bowl and the third Saturday in October. However, I'd like to see LSU here instead of Mississippi State. I'd also like to see Auburn play LSU every year. Obviously, they didn't play last year with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the conference, bringing some realignment. However, this is a classic SEC West rivalry I'd like to see alive. I think Florida's the first big miss here. Obviously, Georgia's a lock, but South Carolina and Kentucky have me scratching my head a bit. Obviously, Florida's had an insane schedule over the past few years, so maybe some fans are even a bit relieved. They may not have to see some of these better teams on a yearly basis. However, I still do think there's better options here. Teams like Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU, to name a few. South Carolina for Georgia just doesn't make sense. Obviously, old SEC East opponents and rivals. However, Tennessee and Georgia have way more bad blood. And if you take a look at the game they played a couple weeks ago, I don't know how you don't want that played every year. Alabama not being included for LSU hurts my heart a bit, especially as someone who grew up watching SEC football. This is such a classic matchup and rivalry that needs to be played every year. Same thing goes for Tennessee that I was talking about for Georgia. If you swap Kentucky for Georgia in this list, I think is absolutely perfect. And finally, what a brutal draw here from A&M, the worst team on this list being Missouri, who's actually having a very good season so far. But I do like the addition of Texas here. I think these two teams should play every year, a rivalry renewed in the SEC. That's my quick first reaction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did the SEC get it right, or did they make some mistakes here?